All right, that should give it enough time for people to join. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining today's coffee break, which is on the SCOM Management Pack Creator, which is a nice, easy way of helping you guys to create management packs in SCOM. As anyone who's ever tried it before, it can be a fun process, shall we? So let's dig in. So before we do, let me just quickly introduce myself. So I'm Bruce Cullen. I'm the Director of Products at Cookdown, and I have a special guest with me. I have Dujon Walsham with me. Dujon, you're a SCOM consultant. You run your own business, Walsham Solutions. You're very skilled in, obviously, SCOM, as you'd expect being here, but also PowerShell, Power BI, SCCM, and lots of other enterprise IT. I'm sure it's great to have you with us.
Brilliant. Thank you for having me.
Good, great to have you here. So let's dig in by introducing the SCOM Management Pack Creator. So what is it?
Um, so the SCOM Management Pack Creator is simply a solution which allows you to build a management pack from scratch utilizing PowerShell coding. And it allows you to build a management pack end to end within a matter of seconds or even several minutes, depending on the requirements of your management pack.
Awesome, really powerful. Well, let's dig into that right away then. So we're going to set the stage with a bit more about what is it and what can it do, a bit of its history, how does it work, and then how does it compare to fragments, and then all importantly, let's see it in practice. So, what is it? Let's go a bit deeper.
Okay, so to elaborate a little bit more on the SCOM Management Pack Creator, so it is a PowerShell module-based solution. So it contains a series of functions which allow you to call several methods on creating different components for your management pack, which allows you to build the whole solution from end to end. So it also covers everything from classes, discoveries, monitors, rules, views, folders, pretty much everything you would get in your typical management pack. So the diagram shows a quick idea of the type of platforms it covers. So it can create a Windows management pack and it can also create a Linux-based management pack as well. And on the side, we also see all of the different layers of which the management pack contains, which can be created by the creator.
Sounds good. So most things covered there from the looks of things. Looks good.
And to go into a little bit more detail on what the SCOM Management Pack Creator solution creates. So if we go into the classes, so it covers everything from base classes such as Windows Computer, application components, different computer instance groups, and also a custom class if you decide to use something a bit more specific as well. It also contains the ability to create run as profiles, also adding additional properties to your classes as well, and also the relationship side of things in terms of merging relationships with two different classes. Um, also, discoveries covers everything from registry discovery, PowerShell script-based discovery, VB script, and WMI query as well. So you've got a different variation, and depending on what type of method you want to use. Also, in terms of the monitoring, so I tried to make it very vast in terms of a standardized method in which a lot of people create monitors with. So if we start with the event monitors, we've got everything covered from two-state manual reset and timer reset. We also have Windows Service monitors, which contain everything from the up and down state and also on performance based monitors as well for the service. So anything from CPU to memory spikes. We've also got ones for generic log monitoring, performance monitoring. Anything in the performance monitor or any counters can also be monitored as well for the PowerShell Management Pack Creator. And we also have the PowerShell Monitor, which is something that you would normally see created quite a lot in different types of solutions. So it's handy to have this at hand as well. So you can use a PowerShell script to have a based monitor instead as well.
That's the way forward. Good old PowerShell. I don't see much. I can't think of much here that's sort of missing. So it's pretty comprehensive. That's good stuff.
Yeah, I tried to pretty much keep it as comprehensive as I possibly could. And with the rules, so we've got an event-based rule. We also have the ability to create a PowerShell-based rule. And this can vary if you want it to be a standard scheduled task PowerShell script or if you want it to perform such as a rule configuration would be concerned as well. We also have a performance-based rule, which again, very similar to the performance monitor, which you can use the perfmon counters and your configuration for your rule. And we also have a Unix-based rule, which is for monitoring log files, which is also the same for monitors as well, which you have the ability to create Unix and Linux monitors and rules as well. Folders view, so we have the ability to create the parent folder, which you would normally see in your SCOM console as soon as you import a management pack straight away in your monitoring tab. We also have the ability to create additional folders for a more of a nested approach for your folders. So you may have another folder underneath your parent folder for your management pack. Views, you have the ability to create pretty much every single view you can think of in SCOM. So everything from your standard alert view, state view, as well as going a little bit further into performance views, overrides views, state details, task status, and even a URL view if you choose to have a view which you want to look into a web page in your management pack as well. And then just to cover some of the more additional side of things, so you also have the ability to create knowledge articles. So anything in regards to discoveries, monitors, rules, you can attach different knowledge articles where you have the ability to type in different information, and you can see this in your SCOM console as well. It covers everything from agent-based tasks, console-based tasks, and for monitors, you also have your diagnostic tasks for health state changes where you can see more diagnostics, and you've also got recovery tasks as well in trying to automatically resolve any open monitors.
So really, really comprehensive. Recoveries in there, diagnostic tasks and console-based tasks are not sort of super common, but they're there. So that's really, really cool. There's a lot you can do with it. So let's hear a bit about the history then.
Okay, so I started a lot of the early developments from around 2015. I'd worked on several projects where I'd received a lot of demand for custom management packs, and with a lot of management packs at hand, you always tend to keep a reference one. So I wanted to see if there was a way of duplicating or replicating the same management pack in a more quicker fashion, and also having a backup. So I had a PowerShell version, which would be a simple printout of the management pack, and furthermore developments went on to that, and I released a early proof of concept, which was the SCOM Management Pack Creator, the first version, which was on the 28th of September in 2018, only a couple of years ago. That was quite well received. It was a very basic stripped down version of what you will see later on today. So it was very simple. Create a simple class, create a view or two. You could create an event monitor, and probably just a standard folder, parent folder. So later development went on to the second version after a good demand and a good following from the first, and then that turned into the second version of the SCOM Management Pack Creator, which was released in the 5th of December 2018. And this was a very wizard-based version. So you basically hit the run button. It would then hit you with a series of questions on how to configure your management pack, and then would output the entire solution right from there. And that was met very well, very favorable. It is, well, those versions were available on my website and also on TechNet as well. They had received several thousand downloads at that time. And then moving on, looking to advance a little bit further, we go into the third version of the SCOM Management Pack Creator, which was released on the 28th of June 2019. And this was an early version of the PowerShell module version, which we have now. And that was a slightly more stripped down version, so not as many views, not as many monitors, not as many as additional features which this one contains. So after more further development, we now get into the official version we have here, which was released on the 9th of September this year, which is only just over a month ago.
Awesome. So under active development, and like some of the best solutions, it came out of a problem you had in the field and ended up becoming a thing that's available to the community, which is really, really cool. Good stuff. So let's dig into a bit more about kind of how it works, how you actually go about building a management pack. And then I've got a question from Slack that I'll go to before we move on.
Okay. So in terms of how it works. So the diagram gives a bit of a more of a high level idea. So simply we import the PowerShell module, and we then have all of the features and commands which you can use to create the management pack. We then have a PowerShell based management pack form, which has a series of lines in which we can configure and tailor our management pack depending on our specific design. Once that is filled, we simply run that, and then all of the management pack based fragments are then created. They all output into a .mpx file, which are the files which are required to be added and imported into your Visual Studio based project, which would then contain your management pack design. Once that is then built, we then go into importing the MPX files into the Visual Studios project. We then build the management pack, and then simply goes and gets imported into the SCOM console.
Mm-hmm. Straightforward. Sounds good. So relatively straightforward again then, really. Form-based fragments there, little bit of Visual Studio, and then you're away in SCOM. Good news.
Yep.
Just to quickly interject with the question from Slack at this point. The question was, can you build SCOM DAs or distributed applications with your solution today? And if not, is it something that's on the roadmap?
That is one that actually is on the roadmap. That was maybe the only one that was not added due to a bit of complexity in terms of different configurations, especially when adding different components on that. But that is definitely on the next radar of the next version of this.
All right, good. Well, there's the answer to that question. Let's move on now to comparing to fragments, really, because fragments come up a hell of a lot. And they're a very sort of popular, common way for making the process of authoring MPs a lot more sort of straightforward. And you kind of alluded to the answer on the last slide. So let's hear it in your words. How does this compare to fragments?
Okay, well, fragments I've used them myself, and they are a great way of utilizing different areas in the management pack in which you can build, especially when you want to build one from scratch or use one as a template. But I suppose how it differs to the solution I have is that a lot of the heavy lifting is done in the terms of when you have a fragment, you'll find that you'll have to replace a lot of those values with your own specific IDs, your own specific configurations for the management pack that you want. And that's fine, and you can do that. I guess the only thing is that you find different challenges, I suppose, such as the case sensitivity. So you simply entering a wrong character or a capital or lowercase character in any area, you'll find that you can increase the amount of time it takes to build a management pack from that fragment. So the heavy lifting is done in this case where the management pack creator has the ability to place all of your IDs and all of your display names and all your configurations in the correct areas, and everything is corrected, so you have no issues in terms of case sensitivity. You also have the ability of finding out all of your classes which you've created previously in the get SCOM class ID function, which we will display in the demo. And I guess the speed, for example, so we try to maintain the high quality integrity of the management pack in terms of speed and also the quality and how it's built as well. So that's another great feature of it as well. And just the ability of being able to not having to locate where to put specific IDs in any specific configuration in the management pack. And also being a community-based project, it's always open for advancements and suggestions, and newer versions will always come out to try and advance and help automate as much as we can for the SCOM community.
Yeah, sounds good to me. I think one of the things you've touched on here, which is super powerful about doing things in PowerShell, is you get all of the benefit of any other SDK that exists that can supplement your data. So as you say, pulling in IDs and names and stuff doesn't have to be kind of manual. You can use all the SCOM SDK commandlets to do that, which is really, really cool, really, really powerful, and should speed things up. Good stuff. So one more slide and then we'll dig into a demo.
Okay, so yeah, this basically is just going to give an idea on the type of management pack that we will build. So for example, we're going to have a PowerShell management pack here. It will contain everything which you see here, such as classes, properties, a discovery, some monitors, some rules, a couple of views, and you'll see a couple of folders as well. Turns out the PowerShell Management Pack was a bit more valuable than I realized, with a little bit more tweaking, but we'll show you a little bit more in the demo.
Sounds good. So I guess without further ado, let's dig into a demo. So let me give you the power to share your screen quickly, which is hidden. Just bear with me. So you should see a button to share your screen.
Okay, let's get into it now.
I can see a desktop.
You can see it. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay. So, right, let's have a look what we've got here. So if we go into the PowerShell side of things, so just to give a brief idea. So this is the PowerShell ISE screen. Here is the actual SCOM Management Pack Creator PowerShell module. As you can see, it is pretty comprehensive and pretty long in terms of all of the coding, all of the different functions here. So the first thing we want to do is to import that specific module. So if we give that a go here, using the verbose switch, we have a list of all of the specific functions which we can use here. And then just to give a brief look at the SCOM Management Pack Creator form. So yeah, this is a PowerShell script form, which basically has a different sections and series of lines which would help you build your management pack. So if we go, for example, here, this section here would cover all of the components such as the class file, folder file, monitor rules, and all of that contains locations of where they would be saved. So this is automated so that it goes into all of your Visual Studio project folders. So if I just pull a folder here, for example, so here, for example, is my location of all of my Visual Studio projects, and here my management packs. And this form will have everything go right into those folders here. We can look at C sections for how to create a new class. So we have the new class here. For example, we've got a PowerShell agent class name. We've got a computer group, instance group. We also have a section here for different properties. For example, adding different properties to our classes. We have the discovery section where you can see there's a different references for PowerShell scripts, registry discovery, Visual Basic discovery, WMI discovery. We also have sections for new folders and views. Then we get to more of the monitors and rules this way. So, and then as an example, we will use a form which is pre-filled by myself in terms of using the actual PowerShell management pack that we are going to create here. So we see everything is pre-filled. And one feature that I wanted to touch on a little bit more is the get SCOM class ID function. So in terms of classes in which you actually create, so if you have created a series of classes in your management packs using this method, and you may want to look back in certain classes to reference rather than type them in manually, we have a function here. So if I just remove this piece here, and then you can see here the actual full path of where my class file is for this management pack. So, and we have the source class ID switch. So if I simply hit space, we have the IntelliSense that kicks in, and we can see all of the classes that were created on my class MPX file. So we've got the agent class, we have the computer groups, and we have the runners account, for example. So if I hit that, I simply pre-fills that. So there's no real need to actually have any type of manual interaction if you don't need to, and especially if you have a comprehensive amount of classes, then there's a great way of saving time there as well.
Hooray for IntelliSense.
Oh yes. And so here we're going to use a registry discovery. We're going to have a computer group, instance group. We will have a couple of folders in our management pack as well. We also have a couple of views, state view and alert view. We'll also have several monitors ranging from the PowerShell monitor and event monitors. We'll have a couple of rules, discovery task, and a recovery task as well. So with that being said, I'll just clear this and make this clean. So if we go into Visual Studio, for example, so this is currently the management pack at the moment when it is actually built and complete. So what I will do, just to show it how it actually works, is I will actually delete everything from this location. So we start with a blank management pack project. So if I delete this right here, that's everything gone. Then if I go into my location here for the management pack, so at the moment, as we can see, everything here is blank. So we will now run this will now run the management pack creator form, which will use the functions for the SCOM management pack creator. So if we hit this, yep. So just to give a quick overview, so all of these lines which you see here are great reference points. So any particular part of the management pack you create might contain a management pack that would have to be added to the reference section of your Visual Studio project. So these yellow lines here, if we see, we had an instance group class created. So it says, if you have this created, then you have to add the Microsoft System Center Instance Group Library Management Pack to the Visual Studio Authoring Extensions folder. So if we go into the Visual Studio here in the references, so these would be the management packs that would be used to reference different type of classes. So any type of component you create here, it will give you an idea on what management pack to add, so you don't have to blindly look anywhere else. Also gives you information in terms of if you add specific views. It also tell you how to add different resolution states, severities, priorities as well, in addition.
Nice, really useful piece of functionality, that.
Yeah, definitely. So now if we go to the folder here where the PowerShell Management Pack parent folder is for the project, we can now see all of the MPX components created. So we've got classes here, we've got the discovery, folders, monitors, rules, and also the custom data source and probe actions, which you would get to compile your PowerShell part of your PowerShell monitor as well. So now, if we now right click the parent folder, go to existing item, if we now add all of these, so now you can see all of those components have now been added. We've just got one more, which is the PowerShell script, which I will go on a little bit more as well. So if we double click here, you can now see the actual integrity of how the actual parts of the management pack is built. So this is the section for all the classes. So we've got the PowerShell agent ID here. And a great part about this solution is that you tend to find that you have to have an ID version, which would contain either no spaces or a dot in between. And then you've also got the display names on how you would see it nicely written inside of the SCOM console. So a great thing about this solution is that it has a way of making a specific criteria for your ID, and it will also do the same thing for your display string. So we've got PowerShell agent here, and then you can see in the display string in the name section, you've got the PowerShell agent. So you will always see a nice, clean, friendly way of it displayed in the SCOM console, as well as the normal ID version as well.
Which is always good. The two aren't always
Definitely.
the same, which has bitten me so many times in the past.
Absolutely. And here we have the registry discovery here as well. So you can see all of the registry keys that will be discovered. Again, the same thing with the integrity with the group discovery, instance group discoveries, all of the display strings. And here we have the knowledge base articles here. So this is just pre-filled with this as a test article, just to give you an idea. But you would see this also in the SCOM console as well, if highlighting any of these specific objects in your authoring tab. We have the folder section here. So we have a parent folder. We have a nested folder for our PowerShell agents class, noted right here. We also have the views. A great part about this section is you tend to find this if you're creating a management pack in the default way as well, but more specific commented lines were added here so that if you wanted to add specific resolution states, severities, priorities, you can also add these here as well. And the comments give you the idea on how to put them and where to put them and which specific switches to use as well, which is a great way to advance and customize your views as well. We also have the sections for the PowerShell monitor, which contains the data source here for the PowerShell script. We have the data source probe action here. We have the data source type, and then we have the monitors and rules section. So we can see all of the rules added here. We can see specific tasks which are attached to the classes which we have as well. We have all of the monitors. So we've got event-based monitors. We have the PowerShell script monitor. And if I go slightly further down, we should be able to see a section for the diagnostic task and the recovery tasks as well. And the last part would be the PowerShell script here. So let's give a tiny bit of a background here. This solution, when it creates anything like a PowerShell discovery or PowerShell monitor, the great part about it is that it would actually create not only the PowerShell script for it, but it will also have the layout of everything that you need to configure the actual PowerShell script. So all of these lines here, such as the param computer name and the API to call all the specific COM objects, all of this will be listed here and all of them will be structured. So all you have to do is simply insert the actual script logic here. And once that's configured, everything should be able to flow in terms of the actual PowerShell monitor that you've created. So everything is tailored for in terms of VB script, PowerShell script, with every single thing taken in fine detail. So now with this configured, we will now build this solution finally.
While it's building, just a good point here for some questions. So
Yes.
the first one in the chat is, I recently needed a SCOM group of disk drives only on SQL servers. I know there's solutions for this. Can this MP creator help with creating relationships?
Yes, it does. There is a function which has to create the actual relationship. Let me see if I remember this. So it should be something like new SCOM MP relationship. Yeah. So yeah, there is a section here in which you can create a relationship MPX file, and then you can also create the actual relationship configuration within it as well. If I just do a quick search on here. Yeah, so that's new. And yep, there is a section right here which allows you to create the relationship. So it allows you to specify different classes. So we've got things like the source type and the target type, which will give you the option to decide which class you want the actual classes, the actual relationship to be merged with. And yep, that can also be done as well.
Perfect. There are a couple more questions. I think
Yep.
I'll just quickly whip through them now while we're doing them. So the next one is from Sean. If several rules reference the same data, is a data source created? In other words, does the created MP cook down in SCOM? Good question, Sean.
That is a good question. In terms of how the rules are created, I would say each one of them probably have their own data source. So they probably don't really have one where it's maybe specifically shared. So there probably might not be a cookdown method in this particular solution, but that is also another thing that is added onto the roadmap as well, to actually have multiple rules use the same data source to have that cookdown method.
And there's nothing like things like this webinar for getting features for the roadmap, because there's not much point speaking from the perspective of me Cookdown in building something unless there's somebody up for using it. So that's really good to have that sort of validated. The final question I have is from Ben on the Slack channel, who says, is there any intention of creating dashboards for the HTML5 web dashboard with the Management Pack creator?
Oof. Well, that Would be a very, very interesting challenge, actually. I think that would probably be very similar to the complexity maybe of the distributed applications, but that would be
Mm,
something I would love to add in there as well, because those dashboards are very, very powerful in terms of the HTML5 web console. And I think having to look a bit more on how the configuration that would go, I would definitely be interested to get that into the next version as well. But yeah, these are great questions, because these are great type of advancements which would take this type of solution onto a different level. So yeah, that's a brilliant suggestion.
And the other thing is, if anyone's interested in working with Dion on helping bring some of these things to light with, what the use cases are, they would really help, I'm sure, in fleshing out what it is, you would do to build something like that for the next version. That's all the questions for now. So we'll go back to the build or the output of the build
Okay.
process.
Right. Yeah. So the next part, well, the actual management pack is now built and configured. I'm actually quite grateful. There's absolutely no errors so far, so
Always
I
good.
will go with that. So we go back to the source folder of the PowerShell management pack. So if I go into the bin and debug folder, we can now see we have the sealed management pack, which we've created here. So if I now go into my virtual machine, which the management pack that was built is also imported on here as well. So if we have a look here, we can actually see this is the actual parent folder of the PowerShell management pack. That doesn't have the greatest name, but it gives you an idea that it actually worked. So we also have the nested PowerShell agent folder as well. We also have the two views, which is the alerts view. We also have the state view as well. So if we get a quick click on that, and then here, we have them both in critical, as there would be some simulated alerts attached to them. So we can see all of the attributes that's been discovered here. So we have the full path, the application base, PowerShell version, runtime version. So all of these components which are found within the registry discovery. Same also for these two machines here. If we go into the alerts section, so we have some test alerts here. So this one, for example, was one of the Windows Service monitors, which has a memory performance spike, for example. If we go initially, if we actually look into the alert details, so we have the knowledge article base where it just has, this is just a test article, but we can also see different variations of information, such as the alert description, the alert name
Mm.
as well. If I go back into the states, and let's have a little look in the Health Explorer, so we can see everything that's unhealthy in that section. But if we expand this a little bit more, we can now see all of the monitors and rules that are applied to it. We can see all of the state changes as well. This would be the standard event monitor. And then if we go into the PowerShell based monitor here, which is what we have right here, if we go a little bit into the properties, we will have a look for the diagnostic and recovery tasks which we created here. So we can
Mhm.
see that they're both listed here. Diagnostic task just to get the execution policy. Another one is just a recovery task to get services, which doesn't really do anything, but you just see the idea of the actual recovery task actually
Mm.
created here. And
Mm.
then the last part is just the actual agent task, for example. So I've got one simply created here just to get the IP config information. So if we run it across one of the discovered machines here, yep, we can, and then we can see the output of the IP configuration just to give an idea on creating a console-based task for the custom class which we have here. And yep, that is pretty much the management pack solution created end to end.
Awesome. Well, it's really good to see it in action, and good to see what it does and how it works. It's a really, really powerful solution. There are a couple of other questions that I'll just put to you before we go back to slides.
Sure.
So Moraine asks in Slack, are there any future plans to have a GUI-based form functionality?
Hmm. I did have some ideas about having a GUI version of this. I would say it's definitely not off the table. I guess I wanted to sort of keep it a little bit more like this, so just so I could have a bit more of a raw version of the actual solution before I actually started to do some more finishing touches to have a more GUI version of this. But that will definitely come in the future for this solution as well. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it would stack up against other GUI versions of these type of solutions as well.
Agreed. Always good to start simple and then build in the complex bits and pieces like GUIs
Exactly.
later down the line. Then the final question, I think, is are there any commands to create overrides?
Um, I would say there isn't in this solution, and it might only be because of the fact that I think there might already be some commands in the standard SCOM commandlet, and I guess on some of the SDK references as well, which is the only reason why I didn't actually add a section
Yeah.
for overrides. But there is an overrides view that can be created with this solution. The overrides part may actually be something I may add in the next version of this solution.
Sounds good. Yeah, as you say, there is a standard SCOM SDK commandlet for creating overrides.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all the questions. So I'll just take screen back for a second and just say thank you very much at this point, everyone, for attending. And to go and download the solution now, it's on Dion's website, which is walshamsolutions.com/SCOM-management pack, management-pack-creator-official-released. And that's where it is. And all these questions, if you're interested in working with Dion on bringing them to light with sort of use cases and why these things are particularly of interest, I'm sure he'd be very up for hearing from you. And this is Dion's email address, dwalsham@walshamsolutions.com. So do go check it out now. Just a quick word from our sponsors. So we are sponsored by Squared Up, who obviously do dashboards, which they consider, and so do I, the not so secret source for SCOM success. As you guys will know, there's loads of really, really valuable data in SCOM itself. It's just really, really difficult to kind of make use of all of that valuable data without meaningful dashboards in there. And Squared Up does a really awesome job of digging them out. I do recommend you go check it out. They offer a 30-day free trial. And if you have any questions in the Slack channel that we've been talking about, in the Slack workspace rather, there is a hash ask Squared Up, which you can ask them questions on their solutions. And of course, click Cookdown, which is the company that I am from. We connect SCOM and ServiceNow, and we solve SCOM alert tuning problems. So when I say connect SCOM and ServiceNow, we automate the process of creating incidents from SCOM alerts. We handle CMDB population from all of that awesome data that lives inside of SCOM, and we have a service mapping solution to let you use your SCOM agent network for that. And then as far as alert tuning is solved, I saw sort of overrides come up earlier on today. It's a really common question and problem, which is SCOM is just too noisy. How do I tune SCOM? We have a free solution called Easy Tune that lets you tune an entire management pack in a click and contains community curated tuning, so you haven't got to figure out everything for yourself. And a whole bunch of other free SCOM essentials, such as the PowerShell Authoring Management Pack to let you do simple custom monitoring using PowerShell scripts, and a ServiceNow monitoring management pack. It's all at cookdown.com. But before we go, just to say, join us next time. So on the 24th of November at 3 p.m. This won't be BST because we won't be in BST at this point. We'll be hosting another coffee break, and for this next one, we'll be joined by Richard Benwell, who is CEO and founder of Squared Up, on the manifesto for SCOM success. And then really exciting, we have in December, first week of December, or second week of December, sorry, we have the SCOM Workshop Week, which is a week full of deep dive workshops on specific topics. All of the information on both of these things is at scomathon.com. I strongly recommend you check them out. As with this coffee break, it's all free. And Dion, I think you may well be joining us for the Scomathon Workshop Week. So if you want to get deeper with things like MP authoring, custom MP authoring, I recommend you check it out. So all that's left to do is say thank you very much to everybody for joining and for attending and for your really awesome questions, and to you, Dion, for taking us through your awesome free solution, and to say to everybody in the community to check it out. So Before we go, I'm just going to quickly check and see, are there any other questions? I'm just going to give it a minute. And if there aren't, thank you very much, everybody. And again, thank you very much, Dion.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, there's stuff happening in Slack, but I think it's more complicated than a quick 5-second question. So I think, yeah, what we will do is, unless there are any quick questions, we will hop onto Slack and take questions there. So thank you very much, everyone. Speak to you all soon and see you next time.